next thing is that Danny had was a question about lawn diseases. So let's go to that second part of the question now.
Also, a quick question on fungicides. I know you kind of have the disease triangle, and it's probably really specific to your area, but I did have a lot of fungus issues last year and plan to put down preventative rate of the Scott's Disease X. I did in my last few mows, I bend down and look at the grass and see some lesions on a blades here or there, but it seems very sparse. So just looking for some guidance on timing for putting that down. Our daytime temps are still high 50s, low 60s here, so I'm assuming that's not really hot enough yet to create a problem. So hopefully here's some help, and appreciate everything you do on YouTube and the podcast and website. Thanks.
Okay, Danny, so we just ended up talking about grub worms and insects and all kinds of fun things, but the other side of the coin is sometimes in the summer you might have some disease problem coming in there, and people will mistake and think it's grubs when actually it might be a disease problem. So let's talk a little bit about that now. Before we do that, I do want to encourage anybody that's listening here, subscribe to my channel, The Lawn Care Nut. I promise you, I'm going to do a full-length, detailed, Alan Hayne kind of hardcore detail math, getting into it type video this weekend on what I call the Bulletproof Fungal Strategy. No, I don't call it that. I call it the Bulletproof Lawn Disease Strategy. I call it the Bulletproof Disease Strategy for Lawn. Something like that. My Bulletproof Strategy. And what it involves is 2 different fungicides with different modes of action put down prior to disease coming in. And I'm going to show you how I used to have to think I had to go and get professional type products to do that, but I have now found 100% over-the-counter, and I say over-the-counter, stuff you can get at big box stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, and all that. Ace, you can get these things there, and you can get them locally, and they are exactly the same thing as the pro versions in many cases. And they're much easier for you to get. They're much more attainable. They're cheaper. You can buy them in smaller quantities. One of the challenges we have as DIYers, we can get professional products. I'm using air quotes there. But when I say professional, they're formulated for professionals, and usually that means the size that you can get is for a professional. A professional does not buy enough product to only treat 5,000 square foot for disease one time a year. He just doesn't do that. He buys acreage. He buys tonnage. So therefore, the manufacturers don't have to make small packaging of these products. They make 50-pound bags, for example, or 40-pound bags, which is a lot more than a DIYer would even need in a couple years. We see that happen a lot. But with that now, I found all the same products to execute my bulletproof strategy against lawn disease and do it with products that I got at Home Depot. And I want to say real quick, I know I rag on Home Depot a lot and Scotts, but I also do a lot to promote them, and they don't sponsor me, obviously. But I think I put out more good information explaining how you guys can use Home Depot and Lowe's products. I think I put out better information than they do about the products on their shelves. But with that, what I want to do here, because this part of the podcast is going to serve to support that video as well as an email that I'm going to send out talking about it. But what I want to do is just give you a quick overview right now. So the disease triangle, what is that? What is the disease triangle? The disease triangle is when 3 particular points come together in perfection. It's like 3 streams are crossed, bam, you have the outbreak of disease. And here's what the 3 streams are that need to be crossed, or the 3 legs of the stool to support a disease. What those 3 legs of the stool are: you have to have a host, which is your grass plant, your turf. You have to have a pathogen, which is the actual disease itself. And then the environment has to be right to support that pathogen's growth. So when the host, your lawn, which is always amongst you, reaches a pathogen, which pathogens often carry over winter, even though they may not manifest, they are carrying there and hiding. They are laying in wait. You could say they're in dormancy. You could say they're in remission. I don't know if that's a proper term, but they are always there in and around the host. So then the only thing that really needs to happen to connect the 3 dots to make the 3-legged stool stand up and the disease to manifest is the environment. And so the way you know when you want to prevent disease is when the environment is going to change. And that's typically going to be during seasonal transitions. And we're in one right now. We are coming from spring into summer. Now, it's going to be different in different parts of the country, but disease still manifests. And let me give you an example: brown patch. So brown patch disease is going to be a challenge mostly in turf-type tall fescue, but also heavily in zoysia grass and in St. Augustine. And so you can find turf-type tall fescue all the way into the north, and you can find, obviously, St. Augustine all the way into the south, and zoysia everywhere in between. And all 3 of those grass types, even though they're very different, are susceptible to brown patch, which the pathogen there is Rhizoctonia. All 3 are susceptible to that this time of year, coming into June, right now, out of May and into June, because In Florida here, we're in a seasonal transition right now because we are in our dry season right now and we are coming into our rainy season. Our rainy season is usually June 1st on, but May starts to bring in those showers. And we've been super dry up until now. The thing is, though, is our heat right now is getting to summertime levels. We don't have the mild temperatures that we have in the spring. Now, for me here in Southwest Florida, a mild day is 80, and summer temperatures are approaching 90 or over. We have that right now. We have days in the 90s with heat and no cloud cover, but we're very dry. What's going to happen is as soon as the rainy season kicks in, it's going to stunt the grass. The host is going to stunt, but the pathogen then will all of a sudden have this wet, moist, hot environment. And if the grass is stunted and can't overcome it or get through it on its own, remember I talked earlier about how your grass is trained like a wrestler. You know what your grass can overcome and you know what it can handle, and you can kind of coach it through. But if it's not able to do that, and this warmth comes in, and then the other piece of the thing that we get here in the summer is humidity rises. Everybody gets humidity in the summer. It doesn't matter where you live. But in Florida, the humidity rises. So you have dry temperatures, and then all of a sudden you switch to very big heat and humidity, and that right there creates the environment that allows that pathogen to take hold, especially if your host, the turf, is kind of lagging. It's kind of coughing. It's kind of stunted from that heat, or from that humidity, or from whatever environmental stress. And those three will come together and the brown patch can manifest itself. So what you would want to do is put your treatment down right now, this weekend. That's why I'm going to do it on the channel. So that way I'm going to get myself some prevention over the next 30 to 45 days or so as that seasonal transition comes in. By the time you guys hear this, we're going to be real close to the middle of May, and my seasonal transition happens right around June 1st. I'm 2 weeks ahead of that. That's perfect. Now, you guys up north, let's talk about those of you here in New York, up into New York, where Danny's from here. You're coming into seasonal transition as well. You're coming out of your wet period. And boy, you guys in the east have gotten a ton of rain, a lot more rain than is normal for you. And you're going to come into heat and humidity all of a sudden. And what's going to happen is your host, your turf grass, all this rain that it's gotten is a little bit different. That doesn't really wash out the pathogen. The pathogen sits there and waiting for its opportunity. Boom, humidity is going to wipe that grass out. There's not going to be a slow crawl. It's going to be wham, heat and humidity, and that brown patch will come out in that turf-type tall fescue that you might have up through the east up there. It can also manifest, Rhizoctonia can manifest in Kentucky bluegrass, and it can also hit it in perennial rye as well. But those cultivar or those grass types are more susceptible to dollar spot. Turf-type tall fescue is also susceptible to dollar spot, but the same kind of thing, those can rage in during these seasonal transitions. So if you have cool season turf and you want to prevent that right now, is the time to put down this bulletproof strategy that I'll show you this week and get your fungicide down now in the next week or so and prevent these problems. So that way your grass is protected. It's got some armor. It's got some prevention setting aside there to keep the pathogen at bay when the environment is good and the host is obviously there. That fungicide will help keep that pathogen down. It will help keep it suppressed. It will help keep it, build the immunity of the grass. These are not the proper terms. I'm trying to give you an analogy to shed light, to open a window to your understanding here. So all of us across the country are in that position right now where that disease triangle has a very good opportunity for all three of those to come together, the perfect crossing of the streams. Let's just pray we don't get a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man incident happening to us this year. You never know what's coming, but if you've got that preventative down, if you've prevented that, you should be okay. And as always, hope for the best.